Welcome back to a very special Limitless Nerd Live. We are here to talk all things Mandalorian and Grogu, and I have just another all-star team assembled to talk about it. You know, we had so much fun doing the Maul Shadow Lord video. I wanted to do it again. So we have Chris from Nerd Squadron and Hannah and Jacob from just Crait. Guys, thank you all so much for being here to talk Mando and Grogu. How's it going, everybody?
Oh, thanks for having us. Excited.
I was ready last week.
Oh, you were ready? Well, you know, it's okay. We're always ready. But I want to start by asking, how many times has everybody seen the movie? Because I've seen it twice, and I know at least one person has seen it way more times than that. I'm not going to call him out, but he knows who he is.
For sure not me. I've only seen it once, and I've been trying to go again, and things just keep coming up.
Hannah, how many times have you seen it?
I've seen it twice. I was hoping to have seen it 3 times because I thought I was going to go with my dad, and then he went without me.
Oh no!
So I've only seen it twice.
So now we've seen it a total of 5 times, and I think Jacob's probably seen it more times than all of us put together.
Maybe.
I have seen it 5 times by myself so far.
By yourself, but
no! I said that wrong. Wait! I said that wrong. I completely had a brain fart at the start of the stream. This is a wonderful way for me to begin this. I'm sorry, Cameron. No, I've seen it 5 times now. I saw it once by myself at the premiere. I saw it again with 2 of my best friends at our local cinema. I saw it with my mom and my wife. I saw it with my grandmother, who's a big Mandalorian fan. And then I saw it with my dad. And I want to go 5 more times before it leaves theaters.
Oh, my goodness.
You may be out of time. I think it's leaving theaters like soon, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, you know, the better to just see it more.
Jacob, I actually want to start with you because, as you just mentioned, you did get to go to the premiere. Which congratulations on that, by the way. I know we haven't really had a chance to talk about it, but you know, tell me a little bit about that experience and what. I mean, I know you made a YouTube video about it, so everybody go watch Jacob's YouTube video. But for those that haven't seen it, give us the Spark Notes version of your experience at the premiere.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you. It really was like the opportunity of like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And personally, I still can't believe that it happened. Like, I'm not going to name them, but I was at the premiere with a friend and we were looking around everything there while we were on the red carpet. And I looked at my friend and I was like, who was another creator. And I was like, do you feel like, and they interrupted and they were like, that we're not supposed to be here right now? Yes. And it was a really surreal experience in all the best ways. It was an incredible time just flying out to LA because I had never been to LA before prior to that trip. So walking up and down Hollywood Boulevard was honestly just as much fun for me in a lot of ways. But the premiere and seeing people that I follow as creators and people that are involved with Star Wars and even hearing Jon Favreau speak before the movie played, it was surreal again and all the it was incredible. And I'm kind of glad that I had like a week to sit with it, which at the time it was torture not being able to talk to anyone about the movie for like a week until like it released. Cause I was like, man, like I can't say anything about this. But I'm kind of glad in hindsight that I had a week to kind of like sit with it to where no one online was talking about it. It was kind of like bliss in hindsight in a lot of ways, especially for a Star Wars movie. Which is why I'm even more excited to talk about it again now, because every time that I've talked about it since, it's just been, I feel like I can take everything that happened that one week and finally just like get it out there in the world, you know, but it was a really fun time. That's, I guess, the shortest way that I can answer the question.
Yeah. I mean, I actually got to see it early as well. Shout out to Rebel Scum Con and the team of those guys and Cinemark and IMAX, I guess. I got to see it early that Monday. And yeah, I mean, definitely having to like sit with it and not talk about it because you've seen it and nobody else has seen it. is definitely definitely a weird feeling. I've never gotten to see a movie early before. And then I got like a random FaceTime from Grogu like a couple days before that. And
that was so cool.
I remember that.
It was really sweet.
Yeah, shout out to Lucasfilm and Disney and Star Wars for messaging me out of the blue and saying, "Hey, do you have FaceTime and are you available at this time?" And you don't know what to say other than, "Sure, Star Wars, of course I am."
Exactly.
And you get like a 45-second FaceTime with Grogu like waving at you and making sounds and then using the Force to hang up on you.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
then that's followed by a, "Hey, can we send you mail?" So
that's
so
awesome.
shout out
And
to them for doing that.
I'm glad that you said Disney and Lucasfilm because I forgot to mention it too. Every time I've talked about it, I've just had to thank Disney and Lucasfilm every time because that experience wouldn't have been possible without them. And again, like you said with Grogu, it's one thing to see him in a movie, but whenever he's like looking directly at you and like you wave at him and he like squints at you and waves, like it's so sweet.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So definitely thank you to Lucasfilm and Disney and Star Wars for involving me and Jacob in and so many other amazing friends of ours in talking about this movie. But I want to, Jacob, obviously not the premiere because that's definitely an elevated experience, but how was everybody's just movie going experience? Because I know that even though I was in an early screening and an IMAX and everything like that, it was just really nice to be back in a theater watching a Star Wars movie that wasn't a re-release. Just to be clapping when you feel like you should clap, and we're cheering and hooting and hollering and doing all that kind of fun stuff. But what was everybody's Jacob, I'll have you pick one of your 5 times that's not the premiere to what was everybody's theater experiences like?
So I'll say every time was great. One of my favorite times was seeing it with my wife and grandmother, but my favorite time that I've seen the movie outside of the premiere was actually with my grandmother because, and I've told the story before on our show and several other places, but I'll just make it quick here as well. Back in 2022, she finally got a smart TV for the first time. She notoriously never upgrades to anything new. And she was very excited to get her smart TV. So spontaneously, we ended up watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus once I set up everything for her. And initially, when The Mandalorian came out, I always liked it, but it was never like up there for me in the same way that it was for a lot of other people. And rewatching the show with her years later, because at the time there were only 2 seasons, and kind of seeing her fall in love with these characters and even getting to spend time with her, it really elevated the show for me personally, to where now I can confidently say that I really love the Mandalorian show. So getting to see a new Star Wars movie about the Mandalorian and Grogu with my grandmother was just a really sweet experience. And it made the whole thing a lot better.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hannah, what about you?
I had a lot of fun. I saw an opening night with my sister, and we were in a packed IMAX theater, surrounded by little kids who were probably seeing it for their first Star Wars movie in theaters, which was really cute. And that showing, I remember very distinctively. There was a little kid. He looked like he was maybe like 4 or 5 years old, and he had a little Mandalorian shirt on. He had a Mandalorian helmet on, and he had his Grogu plushie, and he was just having the time of his life.
Yeah.
And the second time I saw it was a week later. I went by myself, still a packed IMAX theater. And I honestly had so much fun watching it by myself because of everybody around me reacting. There was this family sitting in front of me, and it was like this dad and his 3 kids. And I think the dad had more fun than his kids did because every single time Grogu did something cute or funny or the Anzellans spoke, he just absolutely belly laughed. And it was the best thing ever. And it would just make me laugh harder. But like, that's what I really enjoyed, was just being in that energy of like all these families just having the best time with the movie.
Yeah. Chris, how about you?
Mine was pretty packed, but it was a mix of families and kids and then grown adults. I was like, that would have been me if I came here by myself for sure. And I saw it in IMAX, and that movie was meant for IMAX. There were moments I was sitting there and I was like, is this movie loud for anybody else? Or is it just me? But it was so immersive to have that, right? Although it was really loud, it felt like I was immersed in it. And it was so cool because I got to bring my 9-year-old with me. And that's the first time she got to see Star Wars in theaters. Aww. And it just brought me back to, listen, I'm a prequels person, okay? I got to see The Phantom Menace in 1999 at the movie theater. The first time ever watching Star Wars in theaters was the best thing I've ever experienced. And for me to look to my right and do the same thing for my daughter, and exactly what you said, Hannah, with seeing Grogu's, especially when he sneezed, I was like, oh, that was cute. He goes, and moments of Grogu, or moments, the moments of Mando when we didn't know what was going to happen to him. My daughter just goes, what's going to happen? Is he okay? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Daddy, And, some people might want to say, shh, I'm watching a movie. But for me, I was taking that in because she's having the exact same experience I did in 1999. And not just me, but the kids in the aisle down from me, the ones in front of me, they had the exact same experience I did. And it was so cool to be able to see that 20-something years later. I was like, wow. And it's still happening. It was such a cool feeling to see it like with my own eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not one to, talk about box office or anything like that. And we won't. But I am curious just, for you guys, what if you had to give this movie a score out of 10, what are you feeling right now that you've seen it and kind of sat with it for a little while? Chris, we'll just go back around. Chris, I'll start with you.
Damn it, I wasn't ready.
On the spot.
I think initially when I first talked about it, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. But there are other things that can make it a 10 very, very quickly, right? And so when people base movies off, I give it a 5 out of 10 or 4 out of 10, I'm like, really? Visually, that movie was beautiful. It was so good. So that alone was a 10, right? The music was a 10. I was like, it was so good. And it's just everything was the impact that it gave, not just myself, but the audience. It was just the anticipation was there. It was so good. It's like, how do you rate this anything less, right? And that's where the impact of the movie just like jumped it straight to a 10, because the movie did exactly what I wanted to. I knew we weren't going to get anything drastic. We're not going to get like something big and happen, but I wanted to go to the movies to see a Star Wars movie and have fun. And I had so much fun. And I think the movie delivered on that, which is why it went from 8.5 to 10, because the movie did exactly what I wanted to do, was to have fun seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters again. So,
yeah. Hannah?
Dang, that makes me feel bad about mine. I think after seeing it twice, I feel good about like a 7 or a 7.5 for me personally. And again, it was really fun and I really enjoyed it. But when I compare it to like my other favorite movies, it's just not quite on that same level for me. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Jacob, you've got more time with Mando and Grogu than any of us.
I'm actually thankful for the fact that I've seen it a lot, because every time I've seen it, I've liked it more. Truthfully, after the premiere, I knew that I wanted to see it again because I didn't know entirely how I felt about it. And I'm glad, and Cameron, I'm sure that you can also kind of agree that having some time to like reflect on the movie when no one can talk about it is actually kind of like a good thing in hindsight, even though it feels terrible in the moment. For sure. Because initially I was like, man, like I maybe wanted more stakes, or I wanted more of this. And initially I was like, man, that's like a 6.5 movie for me. And just wait, because I know people in the comments are going to be like, what? No way Jacob just said that. He's like the guy that likes everything. Like, that's crazy. And then someone's going to be like, that guy's favorite's Rise of Skywalker. Get a load of that guy. But the more I thought about it,
But is it
the
though?
more I've
No.
watched it. Surprisingly, believe it or not, it is. I'm the one person on the planet.
There it is.
But all jokes aside, like, I'm glad I had more time to think about it, and it made me realize just how jet lagged I initially was whenever I first saw the movie, because they started the movie at like 7:45 Pacific time, but I'm East Coast, so for me, it felt like we were starting the movie at 10:45, and when you're jet lagged and already just like thrown off, I was
You just
so
wanted to go to
tired by
bed.
the time that movie
That's
ended.
past
Like,
my
I literally
bedtime.
left the premiere, took an Uber home, and took an Uber back to the hotel and went to bed. So I'm glad that I had more time to sit with the movie, because I can confidently say now, I say all of this to say that the more that I've seen the movie and the more that I've talked about it and the more I've personally reflected on it, the more I love the movie. So much so that it keeps going up in my Star Wars ranking. Like, it's kind of crazy. And beyond that, I can now confidently say that I'm right there with Chris at like an 8.5. Like, I feel pretty confident in saying that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've seen it twice. I did enjoy it more the second time, even though the first time I saw it, I was in a packed theater of pure early screening Star Wars fans, and the second time I saw it, there was one other person in my theater other than me.
Oh wow.
So the second
Wow.
time I saw it, I almost got to just watch it by myself, and but I did enjoy it more the second time. And yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you with about an 8. You know, the whole middle section of my Star Wars ranking, I was looking at it yesterday, and like the first handful aren't going to go anywhere, and like the bottom ones aren't going to go anywhere, and then everything in the middle is pretty much the same exact score, and you could swap. You could go from spot like 5 to spot like 11. Like that, because they're all, you know.
That's exactly how I feel.
The thing I want to say is, like, all three of you used the same word to describe this movie. It's fun, and I am so happy that all of you said that. But I'm also would like to point out there are so many people on the internet right now using the word fun to describe this movie almost as if it's a bad thing. And my question to you guys is, when did Star Wars quit being allowed to be fun? You know, why are we not allowed to have fun with our Star Wars movie?
Or why
anymore,
is fun
you know?
a bad thing?
Listen, the only time I don't have with fun with Star Wars is Star Tours, because I get motion sick within the first 15 seconds of the ride. Okay, you know.
But you love Star Tours. What do you mean?
Yeah, I love Star Tours.
It's like your favorite thing.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, this is so much fun.
We had a whole conversation about how
we
Star
did
Wars
exactly, and even like a Smuggler's Run. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. You know, you get to go to light speed.
Oh no!
You know, and then
my dad's like that. He can't
either. And then I have more fun when the ride's over. I'm like, oh, thank God, I made it. You know,
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
I'm sweating. I made it through, but then I'm like, okay, I had fun. It was worth it.
We had a whole conversation about how Star Tours is like your Star Wars thing. I can't believe I'm hearing this. But you know, I want to get into the plot of the movie a little bit. But you know, I'm curious how y'all felt, because Jon Favreau made it very clear that he had scripts written for Mando season 4, and he made it very clear this is not that. This movie was, but I got a this is multiple episodes cut together into a movie feeling from this. Did y'all feel the same way?
100%. There were so many times in the movie where it dipped to black, like it just went to a black screen.
And you're like, that's when the episode ends.
I was like, that's the end of episode 1. And then it starts over, right? And then at the end, there's episode 2. And then, you know.
Did you guys get, Hannah, Jacob, did you guys get that feeling?
I didn't so much the first time. And then I saw people saying that on Twitter and stuff. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? And then when I saw it the second time, I was like, okay, I do kind of pick up on it. I think a few moments are a little bit more jarring than others. But you could separate it that way.
Jacob?
Initially, yes, because I talked to I talked to Will and Grayson from Determined Focus about this outside of the premiere because we all kind of felt the same way about it.
Who is this? I don't know these
Just
guys.
these two random guys, you know.
Yeah,
like,
they sound like nerds.
oh, huge nerds. Will and Grayson, if you're watching,
shout out Will and Grayson. We love you.
You guys.
Great. But I was talking to them, and I remember like we were all that was a big thing that we were discussing. And so initially, yes, the more I've watched it, the less that's kind of become a thing for me. But I still do kind of see it. But my thing's like, I don't necessarily see that as an issue.
No, yeah,
like to an extent, like again, and this kind of goes back to what you said about like how some people are online complaining about the movie being too fun and like, oh, it's fun. Oh, wow. What a great like my thing is like we all, and other people have said this too, but like we all fell in love with Star Wars because it was fun. And the more you grow and the more you kind of dissect the characters and the core themes, and as you grow as a person and learn things about the world and like, you know, you're like, I enjoy the story for reasons outside of just the fun aspects. Like initially we all fell in love with Star Wars because it was fun, and it still is fun. And you know, you can have something serious like Andor, but like you can also have something like The Mandalorian, and that's part of the beauty in Star Wars, and it's part of what's made the franchise iconic for nearly 50 years now. So for me, it's like it's been less of an issue as I've watched it, but I definitely see where people are coming from. And I can see how, for some people, especially in terms of like pacing, how it could be a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't trying to say it was an issue because I don't think it is either.
No, I didn't think you were.
But
that's like saying
I mean,
I'm not going to Disneyland. It's too much fun.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not a fan. It's just way too much. Like Space Mountain turns into Hyperspace Mountain. That's way too much fun. I'm not going on that.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just, all these anti-fun. I love to hang out with you guys. I mean, but you know, I bring up the kind of episodic feeling because I want to talk about kind of the first, I guess I'll call it the first episode of the movie. You know, Mando. You know, Mando is on this snow planet. Jacob, you're kind of my lore guy. Do we get a confirmation on what that planet is? Is it Ilum? Is it Hoth? Is it just another generic snow planet because we've run out of elements? Do we know?
If they were based, they would say it's Rinvar from the expanded universe because that was such a big planet in a lot of games that I played growing up. And I think it'd be cool to canonize it. Maybe it already is and I just don't know. But I don't know if we've gotten confirmation. Oh man, is it Vandor, the planet from Solo? Where they initially go to meet like Dryden and stuff. Like I think it'd be cool if it was like Vandor maybe. But again, I have no idea. It's just a snow planet.
I just rewatched Solo last night. 10 out of 10 Star Wars movie.
It's a great one.
But
see, that's another movie that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
I have some like minor issues with it. Yeah, but I was just like, I had so
you
much.
know what?
I'm gonna turn on right after this, and I'm still gonna have fun.
No one wants to hear my take on Rogue One.
What's your take on Rogue One?
Oh,
everybody in here, nobody in here wants to know that take.
Oh, as soon as this live is over, we're having a conversation, sir.
Oh yeah.
I would like to know.
But you know, we get this re-intro to Mando, and immediately I'm on board with this action piece, you know, and Mando's in on it. We get Grogu in on the action a little bit more. You know, this whole opening sequence and reintroduction. What did that immediately get you on the hook of, okay, this is a movie. It felt bigger than anything that the show did. You know, this kind of opening sequence. How did that do? How do you think they did getting people on the hook for this movie?
I love that you just kind of jump right into it. I also thought seeing the AT-AT walkers on an IMAX screen was an insane experience. That was so awesome.
It was like it was
Yes.
Yeah.
I also think I liked what Hunter said on our podcast episode about this, Jacob, but he said like as soon as Mando walked in that door and did his flamethrower that there was like an old guy next to him and he like sat up and locked in. And I was like, that's exactly how I felt watching that.
100%. 100%. I loved that whole opening and I mean we catch up to this Imperial warlord, and this is not a new character. He was in the Mandalorian season 3 as a part of the Shadow Council.
He was a hologram, right? During
the
whole
Mhm.
council.
and
Yeah.
we'll come back to the Shadow Council in a little bit because I have an interesting question for you guys about them. But he escapes in an old Kenner toy that Mando then blows
Yes.
up.
So cool.
Mando then blows up as Grogu is like frantically knocking on the back of his helmet, which
That is
got the
still
biggest
hilarious.
got the biggest laugh out of my theater both times that I saw it, even though the second time the only one laughing was me. But this opening sequence felt so much. It felt close enough to the kind of the tone and the action of the show that I
Yeah.
think it was such a great introduction or reintroduction to these characters and how they work together, and just I can't say enough about the just kind of the opening sequence of this show, movie. But then we go back to the New Republic and get this incredible like super cinematic opening credits sequence.
Oh, I love
which
I loved it so much.
somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first time that Star Wars has ever done opening credits. I actually
It
recall
is.
I actually recall George Lucas being very against opening credits when he was making the original film. But
We've come full circle.
Mhm.
we have come full circle, and we have opening credits for the first time, and just those shots are all just laptop backgrounds. They're
Yes.
so so well done.
Very,
Mando
very
aura
Top Gun.
farming.
Very top.
Yes,
gun.
Very
that
Top Gun.
top,
Yeah.
yes,
And I'm not upset
Top
about it at all.
Gun.
Mm-mm.
No, yeah, absolutely not. And we meet Colonel Ward, played by Sigourney Weaver, and I just got to be honest, I'm so confused as to why she's in this movie. She's in this movie. She's in this movie. She's
Yeah.
in this movie for probably not even 5 minutes of screen time.
So glad
I think-
somebody said it.
I think that should have
Mhm.
just. I think that, and we'll talk about this later too. But I think that should have been Carson Teva. It's not. I think it should have been. I feel like they got Sigourney Weaver just to say, "Hey, we've put Sigourney Weaver in our sci-fi movie."
Yeah.
I don't dislike the character necessarily, but I would have liked it more if it was a pre-established character that we already knew. It would have been
Mhm.
really cool to see Paul Lee get that moment, which we see Carson Teva in this movie,
Right.
Yeah.
but I think he has like one line of dialogue and like 5 seconds of screen time. As much as I like Sigourney Weaver, I'm not trying to say she shouldn't have been here necessarily, but it to me, when you at the end of season 3 of the show, he goes to Carson Teva, and that's kind of the person that he sets up. I'm going to be working for the New Republic now. Why did we not use that relationship in that character? Does anybody else, based on y'all's reactions, I'm guessing y'all also felt the same way about Sigourney Weaver being here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Hannah answer this one because I know what she's about
We've
to say, and I
talked
think
about
that she's got a really good point here.
Okay.
I have
ready.
some thoughts, and this honestly is my only gripe with the movie, but I realized it. I didn't realize this until maybe 3 days after I saw it the first time. There's not hardly any women in this movie at all.
Yeah.
And Sigourney's kind of like the woman that we get. So I almost feel like they added her, and that might be like a main factor
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the only reason, but I think the other reason is kind of like, oh, how cool would it be if she's in here? But I also kind of was assuming that maybe she'd have a little bit bigger role, but she did just kind of do what we would expect Carson Teva to do. But that is my biggest gripe, is that
She's
like,
just kind of there. She's just
not
kind
a
of
lot
there.
of women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is just kind of there.
My thing too is if you're gonna put a character to play who she played, I better see her in Mando season 4.
Yes.
In the
Not gonna
event,
happen.
For sure.
in the event, I
Nah.
hope we get Heir of the Empire in theaters, because this
That
movie
would-
was essentially
Would go crazy.
what was
Yeah.
is essentially the foundation to where if Disney looks at it and like, all right, we did pretty good.
Mhm.
All right, let's green light Heir of the Empire, right? She better be in that movie.
Yes.
Okay, we can't just
Agreed.
have her be in the movie and all of a sudden, I don't want to say her name. It's Gina Carano. Where is she? Oh, she's working with so and so. So
Yeah.
we're not gonna get her. Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Well, we could have put Carson Teva in that spot to give him a little bit more of a bigger role for the movie.
Yeah.
I say Carson Teva. I would also raise you a Hera Syndulla would have fit perfectly.
That's
in
another
that
one.
position
Yep.
as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I will say this though about that, because I was thinking about that too. Because listen, Hera Syndulla is one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
My
She's
goat.
easily top 10. She's great. I will say one thing that I actually really appreciate about this movie, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it later on. There's not. I fully expected a lot of cameos in this movie, and I'm really glad, honestly, that we did not really get cameos in the movie, for the most part. Like we got a few here and there, like Trapper Wolf shows up here and there throughout the movie, and of course there's Zeb for people that already know that character. But I'm kind of glad that like the focus of the movie was really Mando and Grogu, and less like, oh hey, this is a big character that or like Luke Skywalker has shown up, like he's here. Like I'm glad that we don't have that. In terms of like Sigourney, well, first off, I want to say those first 20 minutes are like incredible, and I know that
Yeah.
Chris mentioned like IMAX and like how wonderful the movie looked in IMAX. The Top Gun intro in IMAX,
so good.
elite Star Wars opening.
Yes.
It's incredible. I think I've made a post about this yesterday. I really think it might be like one of the best Star Wars openings like ever for like any Star Wars movie. Revenge of the
agree.
Sith is kind of hard to beat, and I do like
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalkers, but like this one was like next level for me. But in terms of like Sigourney, I do want to see more of her, as we've said. And I think that if we do make Mando season 4 and kind of continue down like the line, even if we do get something like an Heir to the Empire movie, which like fingers crossed, because that would be awesome
Hey,
to see a
Ahsoka
canon
season 2
version
could lead
of that
straight into
story.
it.
I know it would be great. It would be perfect. But it's no stranger to like having a character show up in like a position of like power within like the Rebellion, Resistance, New Republic, whatever. I mean, if you look at The Last Jedi, Amilyn Holdo, Laura Dern's character, kind of does the same thing, to where she
Mhm.
just appears. We don't know much about her. But the problem is that Holdo does stuff in the movie, and Laura Dern has a lot of time with that character.
Yeah.
And I feel like, much like everyone else has said, Sigourney is just not in the movie as much as maybe she could have been. And so I feel like her character didn't really get a lot of time to shine. And that is really disappointing, in all honesty, because I think that whenever we do see her in the movie, for what it's worth, I do think that she's interesting and that we can maybe build on this character.
Mhm.
And I do like the focus being on Mando and Grogu, but I do wish that maybe her and the New Republic had a little bit more to do in the movie other than just we're here at the beginning and then we're going to show up at the end,
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to ask you guys this a little later on, but since we're kind of talking about it now, but and I agree with you, Jacob. I like the fact that it wasn't just cameo after cameo after cameo, but I think they could have done it, and I also see the connection with Holdo. The only difference I feel like is Holdo, unless you just didn't suck Leia out the window, Holdo served a specific purpose in that movie, and
I agree.
Sigourney took over a purpose that we already have a character.
That's a
doing
good
exactly
point. That's
that.
very
Uh-huh.
true.
But I would have been. I think they could have done it and kept the focus on Mando and Grogu if Sigourney's character was, say, Carson Teva or Hera, or I personally would have liked it better if maybe that warlord that they get at the beginning maybe could have been Brindle Hux, and maybe you replace Janu, who we'll talk about later, maybe replace Janu with Pelion to kind of hint that there are other things going on. That there are other things going on. You know, you have Zeb there. You know, I don't need Boba Fett. I don't need Ahsoka. I don't need Thrawn. I don't need Luke Skywalker. Like, I don't need somebody so drastic that it's going to take the focus away from who this movie is actually about. But we connect with nothing in this film, which is great for the casual viewer, but for fans like us who have seen 3 seasons of The Mandalorian and a season of Ahsoka and Boba Fett, or if you would have even mentioned Mandalore or mentioned the Armorer, mentioned Bo-Katan, like, we don't have to see them, but to a line of dialogue or make the Imperial remnants that we're going after, Hux and Pelion, just something, because we connect with nothing in this film. And that, while I don't want a cameo fest, like Jacob said, and I agree with you, but there are a couple of small things that I would have maybe swapped out to connect just a tiny bit more to what has already happened and what we know is still coming. Like, if Pelion was there and you don't know who Pelion is, it's not going to change the viewing experience for you at all. You're not going to know the difference between Pelion and Coin if you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. But for us people that do know and know that Thrawn is out there and going to be in Ahsoka season 2, it would be that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio leaning forward and pointing at the TV.
Yeah.
You know, but so that's one, like, and that's a nitpick complaint, but there, you know, having Carson Teva or Hera in Sigourney's role and swapping out a couple of characters for ones that we know and ones that we are more than likely going to see again, because I don't think we're ever going to see, well, obviously the Warlord at the beginning we're not going to see again because he gets blown up. Spoiler alert. But and then obviously I don't think we'll probably ever see Janu again.
Yeah,
probably. But you know, so maybe a couple more things to just ever so slightly connect to stuff coming before or after is one of the big things that I would have probably altered a little.
And I do like that idea of like having someone bigger, though I will say, and maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here, I don't know, but I kind of like how, like, with like the Shadow Council, like, they're almost like stepping stones in a way to get to like the bigger thing that's happening, which kind of like crescendos with like the Force Awakens, with like the First Order and everything. Because I know like that's where Brindle Hux is, and that's kind of what he's doing, is like Billions must read. If you have not read the Aftermath books, I highly recommend them.
It's on my list.
They're not for everyone, but if you're looking for more development for the sequel era or kind of leading into those movies, they're for you. Brindle Hux is kind of like with them doing that side of things. And I know, like, with like, it's cool seeing like Moff Gideon and kind of what he was doing, and then he gets maybe taken out. We don't really know.
Maybe.
You never know.
Yeah.
But Star Wars is no stranger to having people somehow return. Hannah, I got it in.
There it goes.
I got it in here. I make this joke
every he's got a return. He's got a return to and a billion must reads.
He did. All in the same
monologue. All in the same
I'm actually
monologue.
kind of proud of that one, Cameron. I didn't expect that.
We're gonna go ahead and
no.
set that. No, there we go.
Are we good?
So
Was that me? Did I do that?
Somehow Jacob returned just now.
You know,
That could
it's
not have
never
worked
happened
better.
in real life before, but wow,
Man, you set yourself up for that perfectly.
God.
I'm telling you, my heart just dropped whenever like the reconnecting screen popped up. I was like,
Man,
oh
you set
no,
that
I'm
up
not
for
doing
yourself.
Black Mando. But
You set
I
yourself
guess
up.
I was gonna say that, like, I kind of like how these smaller guys are like stepping stones to get to like the bigger picture. Because, we see like the warlord that gets blown up at the beginning of the movie in the Shadow Council in season 3 of Mando. And we also see Lord Janu Coin in the, or Commander Janu Coin in the Shadow Council as well. So it's cool how like we have these guys, and there's a few other people that like we haven't really been introduced yet. So we don't know what they're doing across the galaxy with the Imperial Remnant. But I kind of like how it's almost like stepping stones to get to like the big thing by the time of like The Force Awakens. Because I think that it's kind of setting up those movies in that era of Star Wars in a really cool way. But I do agree that maybe like we could have added a few things here and there. I'm with you, Cameron.
I will say that for me, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because I would have wanted exactly what you guys said, right? But then my biggest complaint is that, let's say they did all that, and at the very end of the movie, I'm like, all right, so you better continue this in season 4.
Yeah.
Or you better have a Mando Grogu 2 or something. And I think the idea Lucasfilm with this movie was to make it a story between Mando and Grogu, to where you don't need to finish the movie with leading with, oh, this might happen next, or this character popped up, so they may show up in season 4. It's more of a standalone thing for themselves. And at the end of the day, I would have been more upset. I'd have just been like, okay, so if they're not in season 4, I'm going to be pissed, because you just finished off this movie that a lot of us enjoyed, and you're not going to continue. You're going to give me Solo all over again, with Maul showing up at the end, and then nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Point.
And I didn't want that to happen. So when I saw the movie the way it ended, I was like, okay, I'm happy with that, because now I'm not sitting on my chair like a lot of people are like, is there a mid-credit scene? Is there an end credit scene? There's not. And
Marvel has traumatized the masses.
Exactly, right? Exactly. But that was the intention. I think the intention was not to have an end credit scene, because it's not giving us a reason to anticipate for what's next with this part of the story.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest gripe, was, go, please don't do that, because you're going to give me the same feelings I had with Solo. And they didn't do it. Now it's more of, all right, now all I could wait for is the anticipation of an announcement for season 4.
I think I was just a little shell shocked with how standalone it is. Like, I don't know what necessarily I expected, but I think I was just a little thrown off that it connect like we talked about. Teva is on screen for 2 seconds, and that's really all we get. So I don't know that I wanted anything insane, but I think I was just kind of thrown off a little bit with how truly standalone it is, which I liked it, but I think it just kind of like threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I was the only one in theaters who made a noise when Teva popped up on screen.
Really?
No, I did.
Did you? Okay. Because I was on the hyperdrive with the hyperdrive guys, and they invited me we were on a live with Paul. And he was such a genuine person, and you can see how big of a fan he really is, and how much he loves this universe, and how much he loves his character. Actually,
I'd love to get him on the show.
I have his Black Series figure that I'm going to bring to Rebel ScumCon, because I wanted to sign it. And it was such a cool experience to have someone who's in the Star Wars universe, who really has a passion for his character, who has a passion for Star Wars, obviously. So seeing it pop up, I went, oh! I was like, oh, I cannot wait to see him at Rebel Scum, to congratulate him from going from all these seasons in The Mandalorian to finally seeing him on the big screen. It was such a cool experience. And I'm pretty sure I'm the one who made a noise in my theater. Everybody's like,
I have always been a big fan of him. And it's funny because if I ever met him, I wouldn't even talk about Carson Teva. Me and my sister love the show Kim's Convenience.
Yep.
And I would just talk about how much I love that show with him, because I have been a fan of him since that show.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, you said something, Chris, you said something like, he's been in all these shows. He has kind of been the Nick Fury of the Mandoverse.
That's a great way of saying it.
Such a good way to put it.
But I mean, that's kind of why I was like, why is Sigourney Weaver taking all of his screen time? Like that should be. I feel like he had rightfully earned that spot.
I totally
But-
agree with that. I'm telling him that when I see him. I'm gonna tell him that. Exactly that.
I'm gonna tell him too. Like, I mean, I was really happy. I definitely reacted. Me and Kentucky from Rebel ScumCon were sitting right next to each other in our preview screening. And anytime somebody that's coming to Rebel ScumCon or has been at Rebel ScumCon popped up on screen, we're like hitting each other. We get the new Razor Crest.
I hate that part.
I'm very curious how y'all feel about the new Razor Crest, because I was really confused, and it felt like by the end of this movie, he has a Razor Crest again. He has his pulse rifle again. He
still has this.
I feel like we've undone a lot of, at least as far as like, not his character development, but as far as losing the Razor Crest was a big deal for him.
Yeah.
In season 2. So how do we feel about the new Razor Crest? Because I was not, and I think they only did it. I'll say this, and I heard this in another person's review, so I'm stealing it from somebody else. I think the only reason they gave him the Razor Crest is because there was no way Rod of the Hutt was fitting that.
Oh my God, you're so right.
But also, they can make more money off of toys.
Yeah.
True.
Well, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No. I was just I love the Razor Crest. I thought it was so cool to see it like in the first couple of seasons, and then it got blown up. I was like, no.
I was so distraught.
Right. And actually that's a great episode of season 2. I watch it all the time, and seeing it blow, I was like, no, all right, it's gone now. And then we get the N1 Starfighter. I'm like, that's badass. And then this one, he goes through this whole mission. We see the badass opening of this movie. We see the tapping of Grogu on the head. We just see all the, and then he's just like, when do I get paid? She goes, here you go. I was like, is this a Grand Theft Auto game where I'm just given a car
wanted her
for
to
no
toss
reason?
him the keys.
Like, there you go. And I was like, that's how he got it. I was like, oh, looks great. I was like, new paint job, nice and shiny, everything's brand new. But I was like, that's how he got it. Okay. Yeah. But it was cool to see it. But I was like, oh, that's how he got it. Got it.
Yeah.
And Cameron, you said the thing about Rada not being able to fit on the N1 Starfighter, and I just want to say that's an assumption based on other Hutts like Jabba the Hutt, and Rada is nothing like his father. He's his own man. So
he only mentioned that.
No.
See, and that helped lead into I feel like it's a different episode because he's 30 minutes, and I'm like, okay, so he's just reiterating it for the new episode audience. But he did mention that a large number of times.
Mm-hmm.
He just
in case you forgot. Yeah, in case you forgot. But we get the new Razor Crest, and then we're off to Nal Hutta, which I'm very happy that we got to see Nal Hutta in this movie and in live action for the first time. I definitely think, I don't know, we get into the twins' palace, and we're walking down this hallway, and I don't know what was going on in some of them tunnels. I do know because somebody told me, but somebody that worked on the movie told me. But there's some interesting stuff going on in those tunnels on Nal Hutta.
Are you allowed to say?
I was trying to decide if I should cover my daughter's eyes or not. I was like, do I cover?
I was like,
we kind of get a.
We see this right now.
Yeah, we get a bit of a NC-17 sequence, but we'll talk about it after.
The one that crawls out of the hole and just like slides down is like.
I had like a visceral reaction to that.
I saw that and I was like, I physically felt disgusting after I saw that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Hi, Marley.
Hi, Marley.
Hi, Pookie.
But we get to the twins who we saw in Book of Boba Fett, and Jacob, I feel like this might have bothered you more than it bothered anybody else. How do we feel about Hutts not speaking Huttese?
I love it. I've been waiting for it for so long, actually. I've been waiting for it. I knew it. So if you go to my Twitter months ago, before the movie came out, I put on my Twitter, I was like, I feel like a Hutt speaking Galactic Basic is going to be like a big point of like discourse and contention for some reason. I don't know why. And thankfully it hasn't really been that from what I've gathered. But I thought it was awesome. And I think that it made kind of like the One Twins threat about Grogu, like one day he's going to be without you. Hearing him say that not in Huttese made it feel all the more personal whenever he says it to Din Djarin.
Yes.
Which made it in return by proxy all the more threatening in general. So I actually thought it was kind of cool because like we haven't heard that in live action before, I don't think. So
not in
we've
live
only
action
really heard
for
it through
sure.
like the Clone Wars and stuff, so, which I think is like awesome. So I don't know. I was all for it. It did not bother me. I'm just putting that one out there.
I also thought it was interesting. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
I thought it was interesting. You know, we don't really get this voice effect on them in like the Clone Wars and stuff with the Hutts, but I like the effect they do on the Hutt's voice in live action. Like it kind of took me back to seeing Return of the Jedi and remembering how like disgusted and scared I was as a kid, like hearing Jabba speak. But I also think it's interesting that like we see other Hutts speak varying levels of basic, and we like never see that from a Hutt like Jabba. And I also think that kind of goes to show how ruthless he was, because he was not going to be the type to try and like get on other people's level. It's like, I'm going to speak my language and y'all are going to have to understand me. But I think that's a little interesting tidbit. This is just me psychoanalyzing things.
Yeah, and I mean, and then we have Zero, who speaks almost entirely basic.
Right, yeah.
But you know, this is jumping ahead slightly, but since we're talking about now Hutta and the twins, and we have Imbo, one of our few connections to outside media in this movie. Other than Zeb, I guess, but you know, not super shocking that we have Imbo because he wears a cool hat and is voiced by Dave Filoni. So, not super surprising that he's here. I love Imbo, and I'm so happy that he's here and doing all the action stuff that we absolutely expected him to do.
My goat.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Imbo absolutely wrecks Mando's house, which I guess if we're going based on the plot, we'll get to here in a little bit. But you know, I'm so happy that Imbo is here, and it seems based on your reactions that you guys are too.
I was happy that he showed that Mando isn't all. I mean, he is badass, obviously, but he makes
not all that.
Yeah, he makes mistakes too, and the fact that Emba was able to trick him into what he did, set the trap outside to catch him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It just shows that he's not the perfect bounty hunter, and there are other people who's better than you. And the way he was able to trick him with, I was just like, wow, that just in a way it humanizes Mando in ways, But I just thought it was so cool to see Embo the way he did it, and I was just like, yeah, that's perfect introduction.
Yes,
especially in the rain. The rain was just nice and dramatic.
So sick.
You know what I
so
mean?
sick.
He's definitely aura farming pretty much any time that he's on screen. Which I mean, with a character like that, not surprising.
I got comfortable in the movie. I just did this, and then you see Embo. I was like, all right, what's he gonna do now? So
I also really liked how silent he was. Like they didn't use his voice. Yeah. And at first I was like, why is Imbo not really talking? Like, I mean, he's a great like silent adversary for Mando, but he's not saying anything. And then it hit me that whenever they were doing the Clone Wars, Dave Filoni was trying to come up with the language for Imbo. And so his friend had like the Smurfs books in like French. And so Dave poorly read it. And that's why they can't have Imbo speak, because there's like episodes of the Clone Wars that like, if you sit down and translate it, he says like, let's get Smurfy at like one episode or something like that.
It's just garbage French. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But also, like, to new viewers who see him, they look at him like the fact that he didn't say anything. They're like, "Oh, he's cool.
Yeah.
Like he
Yep.
doesn't have to say anything, you know." And it's like, and that was the one thing in the movie I had to keep reminding myself was there were so many people who watches Star Wars for the first time that when they're watching it, they're just kind of like, "Yo, that guy is cool." Because he's not saying a word and he's capturing Mando. He's taking his hat off, he's throwing it, and it comes back. Like,
Yep.
you don't have to say a word, and you're still like a really cool character.
Yeah, I mean that was just a perfect example of using a character that we as fans all know, but if you don't know who he is, it's not really going to change your viewing experience that much. You know, if you don't know who he is, he's just a cool bounty hunter that comes in and, you know, kicks Mando around for a little while.
I have got to tell y'all what my mom asked me immediately upon seeing The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Please.
She went with my dad. First question I get asked, who was the plate head guy? And I said, plate head guy? What on earth? And then she started going, his name was like Nemo, Bebo. And I said, Imbo?
I love it.
Imbo is now plate head guy in my family.
Plate head guy. I love it. I can't wait to get my playhead guy action figure.
No, that's Kung Lao to me.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. We. Here you go, Chris.
Oh yeah, so there we go. Perfect timing.
But then after we talk to the twins, we go to Shikari, and this is just a cool planet. I know there's a lot of people that wanted it to be a different planet whose name is escaping me right now.
Nar Shaddaa?
Yes, a bunch of people wanted it to be Nar Shaddaa. It doesn't make a difference to me whether it's Nar Shaddaa or if it's Shikari. But and we get our first intro to Rada, who voiced by Jeremy Allen White, but I feel like they could have given that to literally anybody else. I feel like all four of us could have voiced Rada, and it wouldn't have made that big of a difference. His performance is not. I like what he does in the movie, but the voice is just like I forgot that it was Jeremy Allen White, which I guess is what you're supposed to do as a voice actor. But
I heard his voice multiple times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was not getting his voice at all.
I think I'm the only person who actually really enjoyed Jeremy Allen White as Rada.
I enjoyed him too.
I did too. I really liked it.
It's interesting because a lot of people were so upset that he spoke basic and like, why does he speak basic? Why? I don't understand. He speaks perfectly good basic. I don't understand. And I remember when they casted Jeremy, and I was just like, listen, he was in Shameless, he was in the Iron Claw, and in Iron Claw he was incredible in that movie. And so I was like, why are you taking someone who can very soon be a top tier actor and putting him as a Hutt? How does that make sense? How is like he's not gonna speak? I'm confused, right? But hearing his emotion, hearing his voice, and how he doesn't want to be known as Jabba's son, that he wants to take a different path, and hearing his emotion and how he's speaking about his father and what he wants for himself, I was like, wow, I actually felt that.
Yeah,
right. You know, especially I felt what it was that he was trying to do, and for him to speak perfectly basic, in my mind, I saw it as him. Like he said, he didn't want to be known as Jabba's son. He wants to be different. And so what happens?
Are you sure?
Yeah,
his own man.
His own man, exactly. You know. And so what happens whenever you separate yourself from other people? You start speaking a little different, and maybe that's just how his basic just got very, very good. And I thoroughly enjoyed Jeremy Allen White as Rada to the point where I want that hot toy.
Yeah. I also feel like it was implied that he's spent most of his life not with the rest of his family, so it makes sense that he's not going to be around people speaking Huttese.
Yeah, and I mean, we get him. You know, he's this gladiator, which I was not anticipating a jacked Hutt in this movie. Which I know Hannah's been working out to his theme song.
I have
constantly.
It's so good in the gym. It's so good.
But you know, and we come to find out that he's under contract. It's not really. It kind of looks like he's a prisoner, but he kind of talks like he's about to be done. And then we meet Janu, who we don't know is who we're looking for at the time, which I don't know how I felt about that. But and Janu basically says, "Oh no, he's gonna die. It's time for a Dejarik match." And do we think that the Hollow Chess game was based on this gladiator arena, or is it the other way around?
I feel like it was based on the gladiator arena.
I think that it having a real life connotation makes the board game somehow even darker in the original Star Wars.
Yes. Yeah. And we get all these crazy creatures, and this match is, well, at first we get Rada's supposed to be fighting Mando, even though Mando like wants no part of that. And I can't decide if he wants no part of it because he's trying to rescue Rada, or he thinks he's just going to get destroyed in that fight. But
right.
We can argue about that later. And, obviously Janu wanted Mando to go in there and get rid of Rada, and he was like, no. And then Janu's mad and lets all these monsters out. And then they break out after a fight.
Chaos.
And are just chaos in the streets. And then I guess Mando and Grogu get Rada and just leave and let the monsters continue to traumatize baby Rhodians.
These are the things I also think about. It's like at the end of like an Avengers movie, and you're like, well, now what? And now we're like, call damage control. So like, do they have damage control in Star Wars? Like, what? Who's gonna capture them?
Yeah.
You just know some guy is gonna wake up at like 3 a.m, like, oh, again, they're out again. They're rampaging the city.
Zeb was in there like, hey, so we're gonna help them, man. It was like, absolutely not. Let's get up.
Yep.
Let's go.
And we capture Janu as well. So obviously he's not there. So it is and we didn't even talk about it. So I guess I'll bring it up now. Is Martin Scorsese as an Anselin?
Yes.
Go round him up. You want to talk about cameos? What a bizarre cameo to have Martin Scorsese.
He's great in the movie.
And I don't know. I have knowing Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, this more than likely was intentional. That Ardenian, I kept saying Anzelin, that Ardenian named Hugo Durant shares a last name with another Ardenian, Rio Durant.
From Solo.
Do we think they're related? Obviously,
Jon
Favreau voices Rio in Solo, and they share a last name, and they're the same species. I have to feel like they're related.
100%.
I think they confirmed it, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
They are related.
Because even when you think about it, back in Solo, he looked pretty young, and then now look into Mando Grogu, his character is much older. And if they're brothers, and if he aged correctly in time, he was going to be older, just like he is in Mando and Grogu. So brothers who were supposed to grow up together, except for his brother, R.I.P. But yeah, when it comes to time, you see how much older he is. I think definitely they're related.
Yeah,
and listen, I'll take Solo Crumbs in 2026 any day.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
Yep. And we have food trucks in Star Wars now, so I guess he's gonna lock his food truck up.
Hey, that food looked good. I want some.
Hey, apparently that meal is based off a real meal. Did you know that? They had an actual they had an actual chef come in and prepare a dish, and it looked just like that. And that's how. So when the chef realized he had multiple arms, he was like, okay, so how would I have him prepare this dish? And that's when you see him. It looked like almost like a waffle turner, right?
Yeah.
That's when he used his other arm to turn it as he's making the rest of it.
Oh.
So basically it's based off an actual dish that a chef created, and then he had to figure out how to make it work with a man with 4 arms, right? 4 arms.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just like a Jon Favreau scene.
It really is.
He's in a food truck. You know, you can arguably say based on his movie Chef. He's an Ardenian, which is another character that's John's voiced. Like that is just like the Jon Favreau scene. But
it really is.
Then we get to Janu, and his, Rada gives us this huge discovery that, oh, Janu, who you were just talking to like 20 minutes ago, is coin that you're looking for. So you didn't even really need to go to the twins at all. Let's just go get him now. What did you guys think? I feel like they intended that to be a bigger, like, oh my goodness moment, that they're the same, and it did not. It kind of fell flat. Like, oh yeah, I mean, duh.
That's because that was the end of episode 4. So that's end of episode 4. That's how it ends. You gotta wait till next week to watch what happens next. That's kind of like I'm glad we got it right away, but that's kind of the feeling I got from it.
What did you guys think of that kind of? I don't even want to call it a revelation, because to me it was very predictable.
Yeah, it was a little predictable. It also made me think that maybe that was supposed to go somewhere different originally in the script, and maybe they changed it. That's just kind of how it came across to me. Not that it was necessarily bad, but it was just kind of like, oh, this is about to be over way quicker than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And also, really random thing that I want to note is when we get to Janu's house, I feel like I haven't seen many other people point out this Easter egg, but he had a taxidermied Nexu on his wall.
And he had a taxidermied sand snake from The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes,
as well.
He also had a cage with a fuzzball from Captain EO in it. So
now, are you guys familiar with Regal Robot?
Yes,
you are, right? Okay, so they do a lot of like statues and different things with Star Wars, right? They actually provided those heads that you saw on the wall for the movie, and
that's
now
really cool.
Now we're just kind of waiting for them to actually make it, like do a run of those to where we can have it ourselves and have it as a collectible on our walls.
Oh,
whoa!
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Gabe will be all over that.
I'm sure he will.
Waiting for that video.
That's right up his alley.
I also think it's really. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
My bad.
No,
this
okay.
always happens to me without fail on our show.
It's okay.
To where like I say something and then like I accidentally interrupt like 500 people at the same time.
Just blame it on Grayson. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all Grayson's fault. Grayson, if you're listening, why would you do this? It's like that meme of Eric Andre shooting the guy behind him, and he's like, "Why would so and so do this?" That's me with Grayson. But, sorry, Grayson. I love you, buddy. You're great. Sorry, you're catching strays. I was gonna say, I love how Lord Janu has like. Why am I calling him Lord Janu? Like I work for him. It's crazy. I love how Janu Coin has like a Hannah just went.
I have no idea.
Faded away for a minute there. That's crazy. But I love how Janu has like a castle. Like for some reason, that's just so like it's something you'd read about in like an old EU 90s Bantam book, which I think is super fun and super cool. And honestly, like whenever someone asks me my opinion on the movie, like the whole movie feels like something you'd read about in a Star Wars book from the 90s that you just won't be able to put down. Like I mean that in like the best possible way, and like the biggest compliment that I can really give the movie is that that's how I felt about it. Because anyone that knows me knows that I love like 90s era goofy, wacky, pulpy Star Wars. But I love how he has a castle, and on top of that, there's so many good action sequences back to back to back. Like you have the scene where he first like encounters like Hog's Breath and everybody, and Mando just knocks out everybody in the bar.
That was
then
so good.
You have the pit fight with Rada and like the creatures that we just discussed, and like that is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, and the music there is amazing. And then you get not just them going into the castle to get Janu, but then the starfighter sequence afterwards, like the dogfight, which again looked amazing in IMAX. Like it was so much fun to watch. It was just so, I guess enthralling is the word. Maybe, I don't know. Like it was just so cool to see like Mando face off against these starfighters in IMAX, like back to back to back. It's just, like, yes, you could argue the episodic feel, but I felt like it flowed, like that portion of the movie flowed really well.
You can't
Well,
forget
my
about
thing-
you can't forget about Zeb doing his Nightcrawler going through the hallways.
Yes.
Well,
You know?
Exactly.
Well, my
I
thing-
loved it.
Weird.
the thing that was funny to me was you have this scene where they're all like peeking over the hill or whatever and looking at the compound, and Rada is like, oh, I don't know how y'all are gonna get in through all those stormtroopers, and then you just cut and Mando's like already in, so like you don't even see that at all. That felt very
Bro doesn't know who he's
It
talking
was
to.
great.
yeah, like that felt
It's
felt
like-
so like sitcom to me, but I loved it. I thought
It was like that was like
really funny.
that was sure a hold my beer moment. Like,
Yes.
hold it.
yeah.
That's the way he did it. But that was a
Yeah,
great. It was a great opportunity to see Zeb. We just saw him walking, and he's flying the ship for Mando. Then he pops up, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna actually do something. This is awesome." And I really love how they gave Grogu opportunities for himself. Push the button, push.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He goes, "I don't think he knows what he's doing." Like, yeah,
That was great.
Yeah, it was
So
great. It was
funny.
like you said,
Yeah.
like Jacob, you're great. You're right. This was such a great sequence from the moment Mana goes in to the dogfight.
Mhm.
I was on my toes the entire time. It was such a fun moment in that movie.
Same
Yeah.
here.
And then I mean, Mando decides that he's already got Janu, so he doesn't have to take Rada back to the twins. So Rada just leaves, and then Sigourney in 2 of her 3 scenes is like, well, the twins are probably going to come after you now, and he's like, it's fine, I'll just go home, and he goes back to Navarro, and again, they don't really, I don't even know if they say that it's Navarro. Like, I know it's Navarro because I know what it looks like, but they didn't. And originally, apparently, IG was supposed to be in this movie somewhere and got cut out.
Yeah. I saw that.
But I that would have been interesting to just kind of, again, give those small tidbits of connection to the show that's come before. But he's on Navarro, and this is where we get the standout characters of the movie.
Oh, my cousins. Those are my cousins.
Rolling up. We get the Anzellans, and they are
I love them so much.
funny. They are so funny in this movie, and it's funny because they've been all over the marketing, and a lot of people's like one of the standouts of the movie, but I didn't really notice it until I saw it a second time. They don't show up until like halfway through the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just because their presence is so big after they show up. Like they're
You
in
feel like they've been there
pretty
the whole
much. They are in so much of the movie after they show up. But
They were for sure the comic relief of the movie.
Yes.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But they're and his N1 is parked out the house. I was worried that they were going to blow it up and then give
I
him
know.
the Razor Crest, but I'm glad they didn't. I want him to modify it where the N1 can dock on top of the Razor
That
That
Crest.
would have been very
sick.
cool.
That would
But-
be cool.
Yes.
And then use the thrusters from the N1 to go even faster if you needed
boost.
to.
Now we're talking.
But and then we're not on Navarro for very long because then Imbo shows up in Aura Farms and takes Mando away. He Aura Farms so hard that Mando passes out, and he drags him away.
So real, honestly.
And we get back to Now Hutta and see that not only have they captured Rada and just plan on torturing him forever, I guess, they take off Mando's helmet. And this is the first time that we see Pedro's face since, I believe, the season 2 finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we feel? Because to me, they really need to make up their minds about this helmet rule. Because in season 3, it felt a lot like by the end of season 3, we had kind of universally accepted that some Mandos keep their helmets on and some Mandos take their helmets off, and we're cool with that. Like, between Bo-Katan and the Armorer and everybody, we're kind of on the same page that if you want to live the way, you live the way. If you don't, you take the helmet off. We're all peachy. But these Hutts take his helmet off, and they have this whole monologue about how they shamed him, and he's gonna have to go, take another bath, and what are we doing with this helmet thing?
That's one thing in season 3 that I'm not particularly fond about, because like you said, in season 3, it felt like they were going kind of a certain direction with it, and it's not the direction that they ended up taking by the point that that season ended. And this is coming from someone that really likes Mandalorian season 3. As a matter of fact, I rewatched it on the plane on the way to LA before the movie, and honestly, yeah, it's like a bit disjointed at points, but I think that overall it's still a really fun and solid season for the most part. So I still really like that season, but I do think that one of the biggest things I had with it was, again, like you said, Cameron, it seemed like we were going in a direction with it, and then we don't go in the direction with it. So it's a bit frustrating. I think in terms of like where we are with it in the movie, I think by the point that the movie ends, his helmet coming off, at least in the movie, doesn't matter as much, in my opinion, just because of how the movie resolves. I'm assuming that we're going to talk about spoilers, but I'm trying to like brush over it just in case.
Yes, we are. We are full spoilers.
Okay.
So
right like when the twins get eaten by the dragon snake, because they die, he doesn't have to go out of his way to risk his life to go bathe in the mines of Mandalore again.
But would it even be a risk at this point? All the Mandos are there. He could just walk downstairs and do it and be done. Like,
it's like a shower by this point.
Yeah, I don't think it's that risky anymore.
You should have like a bottle like this full of water for Mandalore. So like the pop of his helmet. Damn. All right, I'll be right back.
Water.
I'm good. But also they take his helmet off to shame him and then throw him in the pit with the dragon snake and then almost immediately give him his helmet back.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about that part.
Which seemed very weird. Like they were like, "Oh, you defeated the, and here's your helmet back."
I think
why did they give it back to him?
First off, I love how that confirmed that Hutts really love their trapdoors to drop their victims into like pits with giant monsters, and also the Amani are so good to see.
Oh my gosh,
in the movie. Oh, I was geeking out because
like too.
Before the movie came out, I was telling my friends who had not really read Star Wars comics, I was like, you guys don't know how scary these guys are in like comics and stuff. Like they are threatening adversaries. And so when we saw the movie, they were all like, "Whoa, Jacob! Like, you were right about them."
As our resident Glup Shido expert, I know that you're going to be very excited about that.
I didn't like them one bit, only because they look like roaches, and I have the biggest fear of roaches. And the entire time I was watching, I was like, "Oh my god!" Listen, if your intention was to scare the crap out of me, it's working because I can't.
They really give you the heebie-jeebies.
If my daughter says, "Daddy, there's a cockroach," I was like, "I'm not getting it."
Burn the house down.
Where's my lightsaber? I'm gonna hit. And they did an amazing job of making me feel scared because I hate cockroaches. And see, that's the only good thing about it is they did a great job of like freaking me out.
See, I don't like wasps and stuff like that. Like I just have a very intense fear of wasps. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just do. And so the Geonosians and Attack of the Clones are like the same way for me, especially because they click like they talk like. Like they have, like,
that's really good too.
Thank you. You know.
Now we know why
I took Geonosian in high school, so I'm glad it's paying off.
Now we know why Attack of the Clones is one of Jacob's least favorite Star Wars movies. I'm understanding so much about you in this video.
It gets under my skin, but I say that to say that like I like them giving back the helmet because I think that they thought there's no way that this guy can take on a dragon snake.
Yeah.
Much like Jabba probably thought no one could take on the Rancor. And then he dropped down Luke Skywalker and was probably like, oh.
Which, by the way, I said this on our podcast episode, but I'm going to say it again. I know Luke is a Jedi, but he had it easy fighting the Rancor. What the heck is Finn supposed to do against that giant snake? Like, oh my god.
Which I will say, they gave him his helmet back, and I agree with you, Jacob, thinking there's no way that he's gonna survive this fight.
He's toast.
And to be fair, had Grogu and the Anzellans not been there, they're
It's
right.
true.
Yep.
100%.
I mean, had Grogu and the Anzellans not blown a hole in the wall and let him out,
Mm-hmm.
he would have been toast, and I think he knew that. But
pipe, huh?
yeah, big pipe,
pipe.
and we're just throwing.
It was
all-
right
we
there,
just
I'm
had to
sorry.
throw it was right there, and you know, he gets out, but he's poisoned, and okay, the Anzellans are supposed to be these intelligent spaceship engineers.
Mm-hmm.
How did they not know that he wasn't going to fit in that ship?
They didn't know.
Should,
They're innocent
should they
little
not?
guys.
But okay, but if they can modify the Razor Crest, they know that he's not going to fit in there. And they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll come back for you. Just
Or
stay right here."
the
Welcome
entire
back, baby.
time they were like, "Hey, he's not gonna fit, but he's gonna shoot everybody else. So at least we can get away."
Mm.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that they probably figured that Mando could probably find a ride for himself because he's the Mandalorian. They didn't
Yeah.
really count on like the dragon snake bite.
He's got
But
an Uber.
Me
it's fine.
saying dragon snake bite makes it sound like an appetizer at like a restaurant, but
It's a sushi
Yeah.
roll.
Did
That's a good idea.
Did anybody else feel when the Anzellans, and we are led to assume Grogu, leave, and we know Mando is poisoned and he's running through,
Mhm.
gunning down all these droids, and the music is swelling. Did anybody else get the small hint that maybe they were going to pull the trigger and kill him? Or
yeah,
was that just me?
I did. I don't want to hog the mic, so I'm going to make this
Oh
quick.
no, you're okay.
Go.
I did. I remember I was sitting there like watching the movie for the first time and I was like, there's no way that they're about to kill him, but they're really making it seem like they're about to kill him. Like
Yeah.
the minute he dropped and fell down, I'm telling you, at
Yeah.
the premiere, you could have heard a pin drop. Like everybody was like,
Yeah.
no way that
Yeah.
just happened. Because I actually thought that he did die in that moment. And I was like,
That
I have
happened
no
at my
idea
screening,
what's going to
too.
do.
Yeah,
But-
that happened at my screening too, and me and Kentucky are just like, look, we're not saying anything, but we're just like looking at each other like, oh, I think,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
It was that moment like there's no way they're gonna kill off this character.
Right.
And then I was like, I don't know. Wait, hold on. Time out. Wait, he's not moving though. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
No. This is not okay. This is not okay. Hold on. Why is he not moving? I agree. I knew they weren't going to kill him off, right?
Mhm.
But there was that moment where I was like, he's not moving. I don't know. This is getting a little iffy. I'm scared for this character now. It was one of those. I felt like in this movie there was no real consequence to this movie. Like, I mean, like there's no real threat in this movie.
Yeah.
That was the one time in the movie I was like,
Mm-hmm.
he may not make it out of this, But and then we had the whole Grogu scene, which I enjoyed that scene too.
That's my favorite part of the movie, honestly.
that was going to be my next question
Yeah.
because we have this sequence of Grogu now essentially on his own, which we really haven't seen, and he builds this little hut. Emphasis on little because Mando doesn't even fit in it, but
That was
um,
hilarious.
That got such a
Just-
big laugh, and
You-
both
He's just
Yeah.
using the Force, and you hear ding. He's like, huh, ding, and it wasn't twice. I think he did it like 3 times.
yes,
Like,
Yeah. that got the second biggest laugh after him knocking on the helmet
Mhm.
at the beginning. But
Mhm.
and we get this sequence of Grogu on his own, and even though I feel like it might have gone just like maybe a couple minutes longer than it should have, but
I've heard that.
we get what I can only assume is going to be everybody's new favorite Glup Shido, whose name is I've already lost.
Good
Sorry.
story.
Yes, the random Fisher guy that just conveniently has
Don't touch my fish.
the one. Yeah,
Yes,
he
I was
just-
about to say it. You beat me to it. Get away from
he
my
just
fish.
so happens to have exactly what Grogu needs to cure Mando, and then Impo drops by to give him exactly the exposition he needs to give Grogu that cure. So that felt a little It felt a little convenient, but
Mhm.
this random guy out in his Fisher shack, and
I felt like
Imbo's gonna, because
um,
Grogu can't speak, so Imbo's gonna come give him the exposition that he's been bit by a dragon snake, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, here you go," and Mando is gonna be okay, but obviously, Hannah, you said that's your favorite sequence of the movie,
Mhm.
but I do really like that as much as I like that so much of this movie is putting emphasis on this is the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
You know, as much as Grogu in the show, especially the first 2 seasons, almost feels like just a plot device.
Right.
This movie, he becomes so much more of a character.
I
and
wholeheartedly
I and
agree.
I and I think that sequence of him on his own, kind of having his Yoda moment,
Mm-hmm.
basically, was really just really well done. Yes, Jacob.
Okay, cool. See, I
He's
didn't want to
winning.
risk anything this time.
Oh no, you're okay.
Much like Hannah, this is my favorite part of the movie too. And it's just stuck with me ever since I watched it. And just as we've gone on, like it's just stayed with me in a really cool way. Because anyone that knows me knows that I love Muppet stuff. I love the Muppets and Jim Henson stuff in general. I grew up watching a lot of that, and I still have just a very special place in my heart for it. Which is why like Glup Shadows and stuff I think is like great. But I think that this portion of the movie, and John Favreau has since like confirmed and talked about it a little bit, but it really did feel like something that Jim Henson would have made in like Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal. Because whenever I was watching the sequence, I was like, man, this feels like something just ripped straight from like one of those old Jim Henson movies. Especially Dark Crystal, because I know that that's not everyone's favorite, but I appreciate how like dark that movie is. I don't know if you guys have also seen it, but it's a good one if you haven't. But I really like the Grogu portion of the movie, and I think it's a testament to how great of a character Grogu is on his own, and a testament to the filmmakers and Ludwig's score that there's next to no dialogue, and yet the puppetry and everything really carries the movie. Sorry, I saw Chris like pop. Oh, Cameron.
Oh my god.
Oh,
we're all just gonna take our turn. Yeah, we're all just gonna take our turn.
This is what happens when I start talking about the Muppets and stuff too long, apparently, I suppose. But I guess just to round it out, like that is also my favorite portion of the movie. And it's something that I didn't expect to see kind of going into the movie. I didn't expect Grogu to have like 10 minutes to where it's really just him. And there's no dialogue. And again, I think that for a Star Wars movie, that's pretty unique and pretty special. And you can just really feel the heart and passion put behind the movie in that particular sequence.
I also felt like in the movie there wasn't much like character development because it's like we already know these characters, right?
Yeah.
But that was that moment in the movie where if you take seasons 1 through 3 of Grogu always being the baby and always being, Mando's always taking care of him, whereas something happens and Mando has to get him back or whatever. This was Grogu's moment where it's just like, this is me. I'm by myself. Let me go back to my teachings back with Luke. I am going to meditate. I am going to take care of this person who's been taking care of me this entire time. It's time for me to step up and I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to save him. If you guys watched The Last of Us or played the video game The Last of Us, kind of the same idea because also Pedro Pascal was also in the show. But same idea is just like your father figure is down and now it's my turn. Let me take everything I've learned being with this man and also being with Luke and let me take care of him as he took care of me. And that was such a cool, some people argued, oh, it was way too long. I'm like, when you take all 3 seasons and you take what Mando means to Grogu and then vice versa, like 10 minutes, what's 10 minutes when you get to see that on screen in IMAX? Like,
No,
so
yeah.
It was a great 10 minutes. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, and I mean,
agree.
Mando even calls it out. Pretty much the first thing he says when he's cured and wakes back up is that line that we've seen on a lot of the promotion of the old take care of the young, and then the young take care of the old. And I think that is like a perfect summary of this entire movie.
Yeah.
You know, it is about their journey and how up until this point it has been Mando, you know, caring for Grogu, and now we're getting a little bit more, at least balance in who's taking care of who, if not Grogu even taking over, you know, taking care of Mando. And then you know,
it gave me Lion King vibes when he laid down with him.
Yes.
I was like,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
I mean, I have a Lion King. I have a Lion King tattoo on me, and I'm just kind of like, I was like, no, not Mufasa.
No.
And that's what I was thinking to myself. I was like, please don't tell me he dies. There's no way he's gonna die. We're not getting a Mufasa in the 2020s. No, we're not. No, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. And you know, go ahead, Hannah.
This whole moment, and especially when Din says the old protect the young and the young protect the old, it always brought me back to that Yoda quote in The Last Jedi where he says, "We are what they grow beyond." And I just feel like it's a good little connection there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I mean, that is probably the quote from this movie. I mean, I don't think there's any, you know, and The Mandalorian was all about quotes. I mean, how much have we been saying this is the way over the last, you know, 7 years, you know, but I really think that is going to be an important kind of theme and quote just going forward. But, you know, they decide that they're going to not run, they're going to fight, and we get the John Wick suit up scene where Mando gets swords and he gets another pulse rifle, and
loved it.
Mando and Grogu's putting his little, you know, chest plate on, and you know, we literally come crashing down onto their compound and are, you know, taking out droids and taking out anything that, and then we get these really awesome, and you know, this is kind of a good time to talk about, you know, Jacob, you were talking about it a minute ago, the puppetry, but also the model making, and, you know, these two giant robots that were done by Phil Tippett.
Stop motion.
And yeah, these stop motion and the puppetry and the effects are just on another level, whether you're talking about Grogu himself or the Ancelans or, you know, Zeb looks really good. The Jarek creatures that we were talking about earlier, and you know, there's so much good, a lot of it practical.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much of a fisherman guy whose name I've already forgot, even though you both said it. I don't know how practical he was, but you know,
his hands
so
when
much
he's
good. Yeah.
When he's making the thing for Mando, I know that the hands that they use are practical. I don't know how much of him like physically like sitting down was, but I know that especially in that one scene you can tell where he mixes the stuff together and things like that.
But yeah, I mean, these Phil Tippett robots are droids. I'm sorry, we're talking about Star Wars, but are absolutely insane. And I mean, they look like stop motion when they move, but I almost think that makes it better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, we had seen him in the trailer, but we didn't really know how he was going to defeat him. Grogu like pulls an Ant-Man and like crawls up inside one of them, and
I love that.
It's just like starts pulling wires, and Mando is like shooting at this thing with his pulse rifle while Grogu's in there. I don't know if he saw him
out so bad. I
don't know if he saw him go in there. I feel like he's not, because then when the thing falls down and then he like pops out, Mando's like, oh, okay. So I don't know if he knew he was in there or not. And then you know, we have our final kind of confrontation, and Rada's gonna face off with the twins, and Mando and Imbo are gonna fight, and then Grogu's gonna fight Imbo's dog, and
Very
you
Ezra
know,
Bridger of him in
yeah,
that moment,
yes.
might I say.
and very much a callback to when he tamed the Rancor in Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
And then everybody's gonna fall into Dragon Snake Pit, and Grogu's gonna use the Force to get Rada out. I was kind of hoping for a line from Rada about how he had been saved by Jedi before, you know, giving just the smallest inkling to the Clone Wars movie.
But does he remember? He was so
I don't
small.
know. It wasn't that long ago.
But it would have been nice for it to happen. He'd be like, "Huh, again."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or something
Just-
like that.
yeah.
That's not the first
I
time.
saw that someone said, I don't want to take credit for this, but someone said online, I forgot who it was. I wish, if you know, just credit them in the chat, I suppose. But someone said that when Rada gets lifted up and sees Grogu like lifting him, he's not just amazed because it's this little thing lifting him, this much bigger thing up, but it's also the first time that like he really recognizes that someone cares about him for being his own person, rather than like cheering on just to like see someone beat someone up or something like that. Like they're saving him because they care about him. And it's like something like that. Like to me, that's a core thing about Star Wars that makes Star Wars special in just a lot of ways. Sorry, I'm not getting choked up talking about it. I've been going through my giant Zeb water bottle here. This thing was like full when I started, or whenever we started talking, and now it's like all the way down to here. I've just been like blowing through it the whole thing, but like it's so sweet to think about that. Like that's something about, I feel like with Mando and Grogu, you have like such a personal connection with those characters, and throughout the movie, Rada is kind of lacking that. So I think to kind of give that character a moment where he recognizes that people will care about him, people do care about him and want to help him is really nice.
Grogu probably wouldn't have saved him if he was like his dad. So
no, but he's nothing like his father. Thankfully for us.
We are driving that joke home about as much as they did in the film. So and then, you know, here comes Sigourney Weaver with the director squadron of Dave Filoni and Deborah Chow and Femi Yua and Doug Chang for some reason, and you know, and Zeb, and they're gonna just blow the whole. Which I love all the Lucasfilm people. When we saw Doug Chang in the bar earlier, we're like hitting each other like, look, it's Doug Chang. And you know, obviously we had seen Femi Yua and Deborah Chow and Dave Filoni in the show, but to see Doug Chang there was
cool,
fun for me. But you know, and they're gonna. Did we think for a second that when Mando is telling them to blow the compound up, even though he's still in it, did we get another inkling that he might die, or did we think he was gonna get out? Because I thought I was like, there's no way they're gonna death fake us twice.
I wasn't stressed that time. I trusted him to get the job done.
Yeah, that time I was like, it's gonna be one of those moments where last minute he gets out, the explosion happens.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, I was like, that's gonna be a big explosion. So how's he gonna get out of there? So when they jumped out, I was like, oh, there it is. And he's like, we gotta jump. I was like, you sure do.
I'm glad that wasn't shallow water.
Yeah,
because Rada would just go all the way down.
Stink.
But you know, backing up just a little bit, you know, everybody goes into the Dragon Snake Pit, and the twins are done, but Imbo lives to plate head another day.
He does have to play another day,
and so hopefully we get to see him again somewhere down the line.
Please,
but,
give me Imbo
then,
again.
You know, Rada decides he's gonna stay with the New Republic. I don't know what he's gonna do. Zeb says he has a uniform that may fit him. I hope he has a ship. I hope he has a ship. I hope he has a ship that'll fit him, which is more of my concern.
It just looks like a big sock.
Well, Will and Grayson said he can fit in a U-wing if you take the seats out, like a minivan.
I
seats
saw
folded
them
down.
say that, yes.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe
get
we'll
him a handicap U-wing.
Yeah. It's gonna be okay. Rada the Hutt, Dave Filoni, and Doug Chang go deal with this thing real quick. But and then Mando just kind of decides he's gonna, I guess, retire for like the third time that we've seen him attempt to retire.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not gonna
And
last long.
And then the movie just kind of ends. We get no, I mean, we don't get a whole ton of. I was kind of hoping when they got back to the compound, that was when we were going to see Mando maybe have a conversation with Carson,
Mm.
but we don't. It's Sigourney Weaver, and she's like, "Well, you're good now," and he's like, "Okay, cool, I'm
Yeah.
going home." And
I was expecting to get jump scared by Dave Filoni again.
because
That
he's such a
cameo-
scary guy.
It's just I wasn't expecting him, and then it's
He's
just
the one with
him
the giant hat.
and his
How could
and
you
his
not
normal
expect
hat,
him?
and I laughed. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed the first time. Me and my sister looked at each other. We went, we just laughed. Like what?
It's funny when you
What?
see him in the bar earlier in the film. He's kind of like out of focus in the background, but
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mhm.
that's
Like-
him. I can see his hat. That's clearly him. But you know what do we think? You know, we talked a little bit about Grogu getting a lot of development in this film and kind of becoming more of an actual character. Not a lot for Mando. He doesn't really go through a whole lot in this movie. I don't feel like,
I
other than
feel like-
almost dying a couple of times.
I feel like he didn't really have anything big that he needed to do. Though I honestly think
Yeah.
his growth in this movie was needed, and it was to be able to trust Grogu more and not be a
Yes.
helicopter parent because
I
he
agree.
struggles with
For
that so
sure.
much in the show.
For sure.
So I think that was a really big step for him in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad that's the only
Yeah.
thing he had to deal with, because I think
Yeah.
that was such a big thing that I was always like, when is he gonna let Grogu do his own thing? So
He
I
was
was glad to see that.
he was well rested.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
he took a whole day
Yes.
off. He took a nap for about a day, and he was just like he woke up.
That,
I'm good
I
now."
feel like that was 2 or 3 days. I feel like he was in that
Maybe
little
2 or 3 days.
mud hut
Yeah.
for a few days. But you know, what do we think is next for these two? Is there, you know, we don't know for sure if we're getting Mando season 4.
Right.
You know, we were kind of talking about it at the top that we hope there is, and is apparently scripts floating out around there somewhere. But
Mhm.
we don't know if we're going to get Mando season 4. We don't know if we're going to get Dave's kind of Heir to the Empire, Mandoverse, Filoni-verse, whatever you want to call it, movie. What do we think is the future for these two?
I have no idea.
I'll go last.
I feel like that's why they played
Mhm.
it so safe with the movie, is because they probably don't even like, they have all these things that they would like to do, yes, but it has to get approved by all the
Sure.
right higher ups, and they don't know what's going to happen. So I feel like that also played into a factor of why they kept it so safe with this movie. And I know the haters that's a big thing that they're hating on, is, oh, it was too safe or blah blah blah. But like, there's reasons why.
Sure.
But I would hope to get a season 4 of Mandalorian.
I would also like a season 4. And I think that when you have characters like this, there's a lot of possibilities that you kind of have in general with a lot of different directions. Like Hannah
Definitely.
said, you can do a season 4, you can do another movie that maybe they appear in, or another project like Book of Boba Fett where they're very much in it, you know? I think that with Mando and Grogu, it's a very interesting case for them specifically, because they originated on the smaller screen first through the TV show, and
Mhm.
now they're getting a movie, and they've kind of transcended in a lot of ways that kind of like traditional like movies versus shows kind of thing. And I like that. I like that we have these characters that can appear in different things, which obviously it's not exclusive to them, but I know that when people think about Mando and Grogu, they think about the show probably first and then the movie, which I think is super interesting. But honestly, I'd be open for anything. If they want to make season 4, I'd love to watch it. I'd love to see what they kind of initially had planned and had in mind. If they want to have these characters appear in a big event film, that's also cool. Really, I'm open to anything. I think that they've got a lot of possibilities. and a lot of different routes that they can go. And I'm really open to any of it.
I mean, it's also the thing too, where like with streaming and shorter seasons and bigger budgets, the gap between TV and film has gotten so much smaller. You know, this obviously I think felt like a film, but it also didn't feel that different from the show as far as the look of it, the look of it, the vibe, the tone, the production value, you know. So how do we feel if we maybe don't see them again, and this is truly the kind of conclusion to their story?
In ways that's possible. Like, all right, so obviously Ahsoka season 2, we're supposed to get Admiral Akbar versus Thrawn, this big space battle. Who knows who might show up? Maybe he comes to help. Maybe but also the one thing to really think about. This is what I got from this movie. This movie was for us, right? For Star Wars fans, but it's also a movie for a younger generation to experience Star Wars in the theaters for the very first time. And this is their gateway, like it was for a lot of us, into Star Wars. And so this is such a great opportunity. And Disney's probably looking at it like this too. So like, oh, we're going to make more money. Is anyone who 10 years old, 11, 12, who never saw the shows, seasons 1 through 3, never saw Clone Wars, anything in that sense, will now watch this movie and be like, so who is this character? I don't understand why there's a movie about him. Oh, there's other shows about them. Really? Now you have these new fans who never watched the show can watch season 1, season 2, season 3. Well, who's Rada? Well, he was in Clone Wars. Oh, what's Clone Wars? It's this. So now you have a younger generation who have the ability to go back to all these past projects to rewatch these other people's stories and their introduction. You know, Embo, who is this guy? Well, he was back in this. Now you get to see this 10-year-old go back and rewatch it again. So it's just going to create something to where it just stands a time to where it's just like, hey, Mando was a foundation to why we have Ahsoka, why we have Andor, why we have Skeleton Crew. Because it was so successful, we have all these other Star Wars projects. But not only do we have new projects, but now new viewers can go back and watch those old projects and kind of put their puzzles together to understand why we all continue to watch these movies.
Yeah.
So fantastic entry point. Fantastic entry point to the franchise as a whole. And I mean, and I think that's what the show did back in 2019. I think this first season of the show was just a fantastic entry point to the franchise. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But what was everybody's favorite character in this movie?
Anzellans.
Same.
All three of them. All three of them. Those are my guys.
There's 4.
All 4 of them. Oh, I know. I know. Hold on. I'm glad you said that.
I'm going to say Rod of the Hutt, actually. I was most intrigued about him going into the movie because I didn't know what they were going to do. I didn't know how they were going to do it. And I've got to say that, you know, I know it's a joke that, oh, he says it so much that he's not his father. Like, you know, like we've even been joking about it a little bit. But I do actually like that angle for his character. I think it's cool seeing a Hutt that really just fought for their own. And he's not like fat like the other Hutts. He's jacked and ripped and he's ready to fight, you know? And I think that whenever you have a character that is very interesting like that, it definitely stood out to me. And I don't know. I really ended up liking Rada a lot more than I even thought I already would. And I'm glad they hit him from the marketing.
Yeah. Anna?
I also loved the Anzellans and Grogu, obviously. But like I've just been so stuck on the Anzellans. Plus, me and my sister can't stop talking to each other like them or like repeating lines that they say in the movie. Because their voice is also strikingly similar to the voice that we do for one of our dogs. So it's just like perfect. It's like we'll do Bear's voice and then we'll just go straight into the Anzellans. And it's so funny.
So there's a reason why Cameron said there's a fourth Anzellan. And
because there are.
and I always
What do you
joke
mean?
because I'm not very tall, so I always like tell myself I'm like the smaller characters, and so yeah, that's me and Anzellan.
Oh my god! How did you do that so quickly?
And then
That's awesome.
that's me and my cousins just hanging out. So that's
I said there were.
four.
I said no. I
That
said
is
there were
so
four.
funny.
I said there were four because there are actually four.
There's four, but you know there's that.
I wasn't calling you
That's
an Anzellan,
hilarious.
I call myself that though. That's why I call them my cousins.
Okay, well,
You know
But-
all of the Anzellans' names. That's the real
I
question.
that
Oh
I
my
don't
gosh.
know.
I looked this up the other
So
day
did
because I'm prepping trivia.
I know them.
I'm prepping trivia for an upcoming episode of the podcast, and I looked and I wrote them down, and I cannot remember
You got
any
Minch,
of them.
Yeah,
Minch,
crunch, is it crunch
Keto.
or something like that?
It's Minch,
Mensch, that's what it is.
Keto, Bai, and Clang.
Such creative names. Such
They're
creative
so
names.
cute. I think Minch is my favorite.
Who's the one that got Embo's dog that grabbed him and he just screams out, "He's got me!"
It was Minch.
Mensch,
Yeah.
just the way he said
He
he's
got
got
me!
me had me
He got me!
dying. I was,
It was so funny, but so sad at the same time. And then all
Right.
their little reactions, they were like, "Ah!" It's so funny.
I love when they reunite as well. They're all like,
Yes.
"We thought you were dead."
hey!
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Big guy's in there, and we have to go and save him." It was so funny.
Yeah,
My
it was like
wife and I-
the very end, he
It's so
goes,
funny.
"First drinks on me," and they all walk in the
Yeah.
bar.
My wife and I love the part where the one of them's like, "We got to go get the big guy to bring home to the baby."
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
They're so funny. Like they shouldn't be that funny, but they
Come on,
are.
baby.
But
He'll come
yeah,
back for
Grogu, I think might have been the standout for me. I mean, he's just
Mhm.
he. I don't know, and I don't even really know how to explain it. I mean, he became a character, and I really liked that more than just a. He's more than just a thing that Mando has to either carry around or protect.
Yes.
You know, and I go back to that quote, you know, about the old and the young, and I mean, I think that when Mando wakes up and they kind of have that little conversation, I really think, as on board as I was with the movie already at that point, I really think that's when it solidified for me. It was that scene. So Grogu, I think, is the standout character. But does anybody have a favorite scene or moment, or is it one that we've already talked about?
I think it's still just the whole swamp scene with Grogu. I loved that so much.
Like, who would have thought you can watch a movie for 10 minutes and not a word be said,
Right?
but you take so much out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like you walk away with like, damn, I learned a lot today. It's like they didn't even say anything. That's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And I mean, I really love the swamp scene, but I do want to go back to, I really think that opening action piece with the AT-ATs
it's good
was
stuff.
so good. And I
I'm
mean,
not-
I do want to go ahead, Chris.
No, I was gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun seeing that, but I saw all that at Celebration,
Oh,
and
Fair
so I was like, oh, so it's the first 10 minutes of the movie. Got it. Okay.
Chris
Still very cool though. You know.
Chris is just gonna big wig us for a second.
Flex.
Let's go to Celebration.
No.
subtle
And then,
flex.
and then obviously I play Fortnite when I get a chance, and then they're like,
Mhm.
watch the first 10 minutes, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, I already saw it. But that was really cool. You know.
Oh, I saw it like 8 months ago.
I was like, oh, that was cool. I just love when he set them on fire and the Mando walks forward and then
Yeah.
they would just point at the
Mhm.
door. That was just like, Yeah, I like that.
That was one
Oh,
thing my
yeah.
sister said. She was like, he's always like unnecessarily setting people on fire. She was like, he already beat that one stormtrooper up. Then why did he set him on fire? It's like,
I love.
He beat him up, set him on fire, and then still shot him.
yeah.
I love when all of
Dang.
the. I think they're called like colonists in like an official description or something. Like the people around the table that are
Yeah.
talking to like the warlord. I love whenever
Yeah.
like he goes down the elevator and Mando does the flamethrower, and then they all just immediately drop their weapons, and that one lady goes like that and points
Uh-huh.
at the direction of the
He went that
warlord.
way.
It's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely showed how much of a threat he is. If you're just a
Oh,
normal
yeah.
person and you see him do that to somebody, you're like, I
Yeah.
want nothing to do. He went
Mhm.
that way.
Yep.
He does
I
not pay.
want no part of this.
He does not pay me enough for this. Go to that door, go down the stairs, make a left, make a right, go forward. That's exactly where he is. I'm not
Mhm.
playing this
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
And I mean, we were talking earlier about the puppetry and the effects, and I and we've mentioned it a little bit throughout, but I do want to give a really big moment of praise to Ludwig Göransson's score,
Mhm.
because the score of this movie, I have been listening to it pretty much on repeat anytime I'm in my car or just doing stuff around the house. I've been
Mhm.
listening to the music from this film, and the music that he did for the show is excellent, but I think he just took all of those themes and elements and just bumped it up to a 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
if John Williams is going to be retired, then I need Kevin Kiner and
Yes.
Ludwig Göransson to keep making Star Wars music until they die.
The Kiners are incredible also.
Mhm.
He was
But
like, you
I
like
do
the
want to
you,
just
you like the music I did in the first 3 seasons? Oh, wait till you see
Next
this
level.
one. Like
yeah,
you're not ready. I've been holding this one in my pocket for 3 seasons. Just wait.
Pretty
yeah,
much.
I do just have to give like a huge props to this score. And you know, the other thing I want to give, and Chris, you made a really good video about this. Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder. And as much as
Yes.
Pedro Pascal,
Give them their flowers.
as much as Pedro Pascal is Mando, and he has been a huge part of that role, and Pedro, to his credit, has been incredible about giving the rest of these guys their props. But to see them credited, I believe, either second and third or third and fourth.
Yeah.
It was
in this
Pedro.
film.
Yeah, it's Pedro, Jeremy Allen White,
I think Brendan Wayne was
Brendan
next.
Wayne, and then Lateef Crowder was the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they are such a, and I've had the pleasure of meeting both of them, and I'm about to meet them again, and you know, they are so grateful for that opportunity, and they are such a big part of the, you know, it's Pedro's voice, it's
Mhm.
Pedro's face, but they are so crucial to the
Yeah.
physical authorship of
Mhm.
that part, that I am so happy that they are getting their moment
flowers.
this time.
Yes.
Give them their
It's
flowers.
so deserved. That made me
Yeah.
so happy to see.
100%.
It's so funny. I posted that video. It was from our podcast that we had about 2 weeks ago, and I go ahead and snip it, throw it on the reel. And it's so funny going, because I think in that video I mentioned Lateef Crowder. I said, how many pairs of pants did he rip in this movie? The amount of time, like even when he had his hallway scene, he's hopping over, he's doing this,
Yeah.
and that, he's sliding on his knees, shooting this person.
Taking the crap out of people.
Right? And then in the comments, Lateef Crowder and Brandon are having a full conversation on my video. And then Lateef actually says in the comments, he goes, I think I ripped about 10 pairs between season 1 and 3 and the movie.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm glad
That's
he
so
answered your
funny.
question.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I was gonna wait till Rebel Scum to ask him, but
I know.
he mentioned it then. I was like,
You
that's
should
so
just
cool,
bring
so
him a new pair of pants.
Yes.
That's like
There you
that's
go.
not bad. I mean, hey man, here's a gift card to Walmart in case you need a pair of pants.
But you know, does anybody have any final thoughts about this film before we wrap it up? Anything else that we didn't highlight that you want to talk about?
Big pipe.
Big pipe.
Big pipe, huh? Oh no.
That broke it.
Oh no, we're starting. But Chris, Jacob, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out, talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu. I want to give you all ample opportunity to plug all of your socials and your shows and your stuff and everything. So, Chris, I want to let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, on Instagram, Nerd Squadron. Oh, you did that.
Oh, look at you.
Wait, you picked
Oh,
my
that's
favorite
awesome.
picture. That's my favorite picture from Celebration. So you picked that one. Oh, thanks, dude. No, man, now you put me on the spot now. Honestly, thank you for having us on here. It was an amazing experience to not just be on here, but also be able to have Star Wars in theaters again and have that same feeling every time you get to see an X-Wing on big screen, you get to see a Mandalorian on big screen, and being able to talk about it with people, whether you agree or disagree with your thoughts of the movie. I think the movie did an amazing job to where you walked out, it still had a lot of fun. And I think that was my biggest thing. I want to have fun with this movie, and it 100% delivered on that. So thank you, Cameron. And I'll see you soon.
Yes. Hannah?
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me on here. I know me and Jacob have been on here before, so it was fun having a new person to talk to as well with you, Chris. I've had so much fun doing the live. I love this. Y'all are all great. Love talking about Star Wars. Love Mandalorian and Grogu. But yeah, you can go follow me there. And me and Jacob also are on another podcast together with our other two co-hosts called That's Just Crait. And we talk about everything we think is great about Star Wars.
If you ever decide to change your podcast name, you can totally change it to Big Pipe, and that's totally okay.
We
Okay.
totally could.
Jacob?
Sure, yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for having me on again, Cameron. It's always great talking Star Wars with you. Hannah, we host a podcast together, so if I said that wasn't great talking Star Wars with you, we'd have
I
a
would be
serious
offended.
problem. But
We did this
it's always great talking to you, my friend. And Chris, it's awesome getting to talk to you and getting to know you a little bit on the pod or on the show as well today. I was talking to you a little bit before we started recording, and I love your videos. I've been watching your stuff for a while. And it's so cool seeing like the collection behind you live as we talk with everything. But it's always great talking about Star Wars with other people. That's, again, I said it at the start and I'll say it again. That's what's made Star Wars iconic for nearly 5 decades now, or at least a big piece of it is the fandom and talking to other people that have a mutual appreciation for it. So I'm always grateful for the opportunity to talk about it. So thank you again, Cameron. You can follow me over there for my Instagram at Lightspeed Skipping or my Twitter at JTimSuggs. And like Hannah said, I also have a podcast with Hannah called That's Just Crait. Sorry, it's so surreal seeing the thing pop up.
I know.
In real
I
time.
love this so
I'm so
much.
used to like
I love
editing
it.
stuff like this in.
It threw me off, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Thank you, Cameron. But we have a podcast where we talk about Star Wars, so you can follow us there as well if you want to hear us talk about everything, like Hannah said, that we think is great about a galaxy far, far away.
I love
We're trying to up the production value over here a little. We're
here
working
for
on
it.
it. But
You're crushing it.
be sure to follow Chris, follow Hannah, follow Jacob, follow all their podcasts, and follow me at Limitless_Nerd. We're gonna keep having new episodes of the podcast every other week at bare minimum until Rebel ScumCon in August. Chris, I know I will see you there. Jacob and Hannah,
Yep.
I hope to see you there. And if I don't see you there, I hope to see you at Celebration.
Definitely.
You will see me there.
Thank you all so much for coming on, for talking about Mando and Grogu. This has been so fun. And I am just very grateful for all of you taking the time to come on and hang out. But until next time, may the Force be with all of you, and this is the way.